All right, so quick one. I mean, relatively easy one to understand. How about that? Pushing an appetizer when you're at a table is basically an essential. It's an extra half a person to a full person on a ticket. And if there's two people at a table and they split a $12 appetizer, most restaurants, that's another half a person just straight on your ticket. That's really nice. That'll boost your tip by like 12.5% if you get that extra half a person or whatever. But it's pretty common knowledge that people are going to buy whatever you talk about. If you haven't played around with this whatsoever, ask, or if you've ever been asked, hey, what's good on the menu? Someone is probably going to pick something that you suggested because you think it's good, right? They're gonna pretty much only see whatever you're suggesting. That makes it pretty. It makes it to where you should start thinking about, well, what else should I bring up? And pretty if you're not suggesting appetizers, you need to start. I know all servers that have been doing it for a while, all servers that have been in the industry for years and years and years. I know they always talk about what type of appetizers they sell, but a lot of new people won't talk about even selling an appetizer. They'll just drinks, entrees, goodbye. There's no upselling. There's no trying to push a ticket. In my experience, people are really only listening to the first thing that you suggest, and if they don't like the first thing you suggest, they might hear your second one, but they're not seriously listening to you. They're reading the menu. They're like, this dude's talking, he's just standing next to us. All I want to do is eat and talk to my family or my friends or whatever. So you need to have I would suggest 2 good suggestions really loaded up. I don't think it's smart to go through a whole list. I think 3 is even a bit much because every time I list 3, the middle one never gets picked. Every time I've ever listed 3 appetizers, I've never sold the middle one. No one ever hears me. They always hear the first and the last one, so I just cut out the middle one. I only suggest 2. That being said, there are 2 very specific ones that I suggest. I suggest a cheap option that almost everyone gets, and then I suggest an expensive option that fewer people get, but at least it's expensive. So let's say the appetizers range from $4 to $9, right? I will suggest a $4 appetizer first every single time. It's cheap, blah 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 blah. Because when they hear me say the name of the $4 appetizer, they're gonna look at it on the menu. Oh, it's only $4. So you could easily, relatively, oh well, who doesn't have $4? It's not even a $5 bill. They're probably gonna leave you the extra $1. But can I get y'all started with a cheap option? And the reason I list the cheap option first is because they sell so many times per day that it's just more. It's like I would rather push everyone's ticket in a day rather than push a select few tickets, which is covered by the fact that I list an expensive appetizer second. So if they look at the cheap appetizer and they're like, I don't like that. I don't fucking like chips and salsa. That's fucking gross. Salsa's fucking nasty. I had Mexican last night and I puked everywhere. Cool. They don't want salsa. But list an expensive option. They're or we have, calamari. And calamari is usually cheap, I know, but just an example. And, I haven't had calamari in years. I would love to have calamari right now. Cheap option, expensive option. Check notes, check notes, check notes. Yeah. There's really not a whole lot to say about like why I list it that way, but I've noticed that cheap option first, everyone will hear it, but if they don't like it, like they'll say, I don't like that option. They'll wait for a second one, and then boom, you hit them with a second more expensive option. They check that one out, they like it, they'll buy that one. I have a note here that says to know your menu and know which appetizers you can push to who. You shouldn't be suggesting the same 2 appetizers to every single one of your tables forever and ever and ever. That's not going to get you anywhere. Not every type of guest likes every type of appetizer. If the appetizer is a lot of work to eat, like if you have crab legs as an appetizer, don't serve that to kids. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not gonna work out. So know your menu, know generally who likes to buy what, when they like to buy it, like blah 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 blah. If they're wearing really nice clothes, they don't want to get their clothes dirty, don't suggest a messy appetizer. But I would suggest listing a cheap appetizer, even if you don't think they're gonna buy it, and then listing an appetizer that they're probably gonna buy. Cheap first just to make sure they don't want it, because it's better to, push an app to everyone. I mean, also the sales of selling an appetizer to every single table looks great to whoever's employing you. They will really think that you're the hot shit if you can manage to push an appetizer to every single table. Ask me how I know. Also, I think it's important that you should think about the time of day that you're suggesting an appetizer. Right at open, like most restaurants open at like 11 o'clock. You should be suggesting, if you're even suggesting appetizers, I don't even start until like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Dinner time, when it starts getting kind of, people start coming out to dine, less so just to get like a meal in before the rest of their day. But if it's day shift, you need to be suggesting something light, something easy, something that doesn't take a whole lot of effort to eat, something that is pretty agreeable for everyone. And then during dinner, you can push the more like complex things, the more expensive things, the things that not every single person would opt for. But we're out spending money. It's Friday night. I just finished a long 5-day work week. I could go for something interesting and different. So basically, just a run back of all the points before I end it off. You should be pushing appetizers. I would suggest pushing 2. Push a cheap one first, push an expensive one second. Remember the time of day that you're pushing these. If it's lunch shift, be real careful and don't make it messy. And then know who you're pushing things to. Not every appetizer is for everybody. Not everything on your menu is for everybody. So you should be conscious of like who you're trying to sell to and what you're trying to sell them. That's all I got. That's literally all my notes. And this video was still pretty long, so I guess I'm not good at making these things short. See you.